Hello, music technology classes. We're going to go over next steps in our project today. And so this is a slightly cleaned up version of the previous example. So I've got my finished 4 sounds here. And the first thing that I'm going to do is take each one of these tracks and create a situation where each sound file takes up exactly 1 beat or a half a beat, because I'm going to copy these and use them in a drum beat pretty soon. So I'm going to go over here to the upper right hand corner and click Snap to Grid, which means that as I move these little waveforms around, they kind of in a magnetic way, they want to stick to the beat. And so the beat is laid out in BandLab just like it is in GarageBand, where each one of these, if you look at this grid, each one of these vertical lines that is grayish overlaid on the black represents a beat. Time moves from left to right. The numbers across the top here refer to measures, and so each measure is a group of 4 beats, and that's what this time signature right here indicates. So if I put my playhead on measure 6, measure 6 contains 1, 2, 3, 4 beats. It's this, box of time right here. So I'm then going to zoom in so I can see what's going on. And here are the waveforms that I narrowed down from my 3 sounds. And so before, when I was working on them, I had dragged the loop function out like that so that I could hear the sound over and over again. So the first thing to do is to take away all of those copies. So I'm going to take each one of these and shrink it down to the smallest size that it is. So again, when I was editing and working on this, I had these copied out like that, but I'm going to shorten them all. And once I've done that, I'm going to start with this one right here. Zoom in one more time. I want it to take up an entire beat, and it looks like it's a little bit longer than a beat, so I'm going to shorten it down. And there, see how it wants to snap to the grid. And I'm going to do, this one's a little bit of a longer sound, so I'm going to make that 2 beats. And this one, right? So actually zoomed in all the way like this, these are halves of beats now. So let's stretch this out, make it a full beat. Okay. And this one is exactly a half a beat, and that one ends on line. So I want these to be easy lengths to work with. So this one needs a little bit of help, and I'm going to maybe shrink the beginning of it to get it to fit. Still seems a little bit long. Maybe I'll stretch it out. How much room do I have there? Okay, well, I don't want to do that. So shrink it a little bit more. There we go. Okay, so if I add a tiny bit on that side, I might. That looks pretty good. All right, so now I'll zoom back out. I've got my sounds so that they are measured exactly at 1 beat or a half a beat, because the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a song using these beats, and the first thing that I'm going to add is a drum machine. And we haven't really talked about drum machines all that much, but when I add a track, drum machine is one of the options, so I'm going to click on that. And it automatically drops in several measures of time. So since I'm going to use these as my raw materials, I'm going to start my actual song further to the right. So I'm going to just drag both of these over, and I seem to have that one along with it, so let's get rid of that. Okay, cool. I'm going to select both of these by holding down the Shift key and just move them over. So these are my raw materials. Here's where I'm going to actually make my song. And so let's talk about the drum machine. If I go down to the lower left-hand corner and click Instrument, this shows me what's going on in the drum machine. And the drum machine, if you remember back to earlier in last semester, or if you weren't here in last semester, here's the basics of a drum beat. A drum beat is made up primarily of 3 instruments. And so if we're talking about a real drum set that like a human being would be playing, the 3 basic sounds of a drum kit are the bass drum, which is the one that you play with your foot, the hi-hat, which is 2 cymbals on a stand that you also play with your foot. You can also hit it with a drumstick, and the snare drum that you play with a drumstick. And so This pattern is set up where each one of these is a half a beat. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4 beats, 1, 2, 3, 4 beats. It's on a grid. And you can kind of click and unclick and add sounds, but it gives you a default. And then over here are all the different kinds of drum sets you can choose. I went through these before, and I happen to like the sound of the Fat 90s kit. You are welcome to use whatever you want. And now I'm going to solo my drum machine track so that you can hear it. And here's what it does. Right? So it just plays this drum beat, right? Stop that. Along with this grid. So this is beat 1, beat 2, beat 3, beat 4. Each one has been subdivided. This is the hi-hat part. So usually in a drum beat, the hi-hat part is going there. There are all different patterns you can sort through, right? If I click a different pattern, I can program things, right? This is my A pattern. This is my B pattern. It changes. And then I can program ones of my own and then sort through them over here. Anyway, we'll get to that eventually. What we want to do for now is we want to just have a basic drum beat going, and we're going to incorporate our sounds that we used over here into our drum beat. So I'm going to demonstrate first. This seems fine, so I'm going to close out my instrument thing. My drum machine's just going to go. So I'm going to start with this sound, and I'm going to click it, and I'm going to press Command C to copy, and then I'm going to put the playhead right at the beginning here, and Command V to paste. And I'm going to unmute that track. And now I'm going to drag this out. I want that to last, for a measure. And then I'll use this one. And let's copy it so Command C. And I'm going to switch to that sound here. Command V. Great. And so now if I play this, so I make sure to unmute, so these 3 tracks are going to play. I'm going to play from right here, and we get this sound. And so I'm not sure that I like that yet. This needs a little bit of work, but I want these sounds to line up with the beat. And so I'm then going to add a little break here. So I'm going to grab this. I'm going to get rid of that measure. So I have this open space. And now I'm going to grab this sound, copy it, and I'm going to put that sound right here, and I'm going to loop that out, and I think because I made it last half a beat, so that should take an entire measure right there. So now if I unmute this, and I'm not sure I like that, so let's just do this right here. So now if I hit play, right, and a little echo, some space right there. Then the drums are going to drop out, and I get this. Right? And so that gives me a nice contrast. So what I'm going to do, and this is going to take some time, is I'm going to eventually incorporate all 4 of these sounds into this drum beat, kind of alternating between them. There's a lot of potential for creativity. We're going to copy these drum parts out, and what we want by the end of this week is a track that incorporates a drum beat and all 4 of your processed homemade instrument sounds one way or another. And so this is how you can insert a break so that this sound happens in that break right there. We can also layer them together. We can also have them happen in like one isolated sound. So I'm going to post several versions of these for people to check out. But that's our goal for this week. So I will see you in the next video. Stay safe, and bye-bye.